You know, Martin Scorsese, for many years and many of the movies he's done in his personal life, didn't really dig the women that hung around him. He had trouble with his wives, trouble with girlfriends, trouble with writing for women. But this movie, he didn't write it; he directed it. Robert Getchell did it, and for what it is one of the most important nouveau feminist movies of the 1970s, which led to the popularity of a myriad of British and American female actresses who took the baton from Ellen Burstyn in the movie to give a new view over the role of women as wives and as workers, or what do you call blue collar workers. There would be no Norma Ray and Coal Miner's Daughter without this movie, and that's the truth. Alice doesn't live here anymore. A lot of people remember the Alice TV series, which is kind of the TV rejig of it. Ellen Burstyn, who had a very strong career at the time, she was in a myriad of hit movies, especially in The Exorcist, where she's playing the lead, but it's more lead supporting. But this is a true lead role. Only Ellen Burstyn, who has had a lot of honesty about her life as an actress through the years, could have played this part as a downtrodden but surviving woman in the modern society. Now, in this one, Ellen Burstyn plays a widow who travels with her preteen son against the southwestern United States in search of a better life. Chris Christopherson, probably one of his best performances ever. He was a very up and coming actor at the time. Billy Greenbush as Burstyn's eventually deceased husband. Diane Ladd, who is over the top but quite effective. Valerie Curtin, Leela Goldani, Vic Tayback, Jodie Foster, one of her earlier what he called non-Disney roles. Alfred Luter and Harvey Keitel in a very weird performance. Well before Taxi Driver appeared in supporting roles. The film premiered at the 27 Cannes Film Festival, where it competed for the Palme d'Or, and was released theatrically on December 9th, 1974 by Warner Brothers. It was a critical and commercial success, grossing 21 million on a 1.8 million budget, and it's being shown again this month in Canada and on Hollywood Suite. Now, at the 47th Academy Awards, Burstyn won Best Actress, and Ladd and Getchell were nominated for Best Supporting Actress and Best Original Screenplay. A lot of people thought Getchell was going to take it, but a lot of strong movies in 74. Now, in Socorro, New Mexico, Alice's husband's Donald, a Coca-Cola delivery driver who she's been not getting along with for years, and there's many scenes early in the movie which shows his disdain for her cooking, their son, the whole situation. He's killed on the job in a traffic accident. A former singer, Alice sells the majority of her belongings, intending to take her son Tommy to her childhood home in Monterey, California, where she hopes to pursue a singing career she abandoned when she married Donald. Now, there's a kind of a prequel movie within the movie. It's sort of like an over the rainbow motif, like Wizard of Oz, where she's walking like Dorothy on the trail and she's singing, coming back to the family home. It's quite effective, and I don't know how much he spent on that. 7 minute 5, 6, 7 minute mini movie, but it's quite effective. It's probably the best cinematography Scorsese's ever done. No offense, it's quite effective. Now, in this one, their financial situation forces them to take temporary lodgings in Phoenix, where she finds work as a lounge singer. She then meets Ben, a younger, seemingly unmarried man. His charms her to a sexual relationship that comes to a sudden end when his wife Rita confronts Alice. Ben breaks into Alice's apartment while Rita is there and physically assaults Rita in front of Alice and threatens to basically knife her to death. Always good to bring up in front of another woman. He also threatens Alice and smashes up her apartment. Fearing for their safety, Alice and Tommy quickly ditch the motel hotel and leave town. Now, having spent most of what blood money had in her escape, she takes a job as a waitress in Tucson at a local diner owned by Mel, played by Tayback. There she bonds with her fellow servers, independent, no-nonsense, outspoken Flo, and quiet, timid, incompetent Vera, and meets divorced local rancher David, played by Chris Christopherson, looking quite handsome in his full beard and kind of grizzly, grayish mustache. Now, David quickly becomes enamored of Alice, who is wary of pursuing a relationship, but begins to warm to him as he establishes a parental relationship with the very difficult and very independent Tommy. Their relationship is then threatened when David uses physical force to discipline Tommy. Although Alice still dreams of going to Monterey, they reconcile. David offers to sell his ranch and move to around Monterey, but at the end, Alice decides to stay in Tucson with him, and the end scene where she's walking towards a bar called Monterey. So very, very effective. Now, Kent L. Wakeford, a very underrated cinematographer, did the visuals, edited by Marshall Lucas, distributed by Warner Brothers. Again, a partial release in LA December 1974, with a full release about 2 months later in New York City. Now, at 112 minutes, I think would have been better off a little bit 2 hours because it goes quite quick anyway. And not too much was spent on the budget. Now, Burstyn, as Alice Hyatt, Nia Graham, a widowed single mother who dreams of being a professional singer in Monterey, is backed up by Mia Bengstein as 8-year-old Alice. Now, Martin Scorsese does cameo as a customer in Mel's Diner, and Diana Ladd's daughter, Laura Dern, appears as a little girl eating an ice cream cone in one of her early performances. Now, Burstyn was still in the midst of filming The Exorcist when Warner Brothers executives expressed interest in working with her on another project. Burstyn recalled, "I was early in the women's movement, and we're all just waking up and having a look at the pattern of our lives and wanting to be different. I wanted to make a different kind of film. A film from a woman's point of view, but a woman that I recognized, that I knew. And not just myself, but my friends, what we're all going through at the time." Now, there's portions of this movie where talks about that because she's not only anticipating a better life, she's also fearful about it, especially with the incidents played by the Harvey Keitel character. She doesn't really know how to fight back other than running, but running is a protective thing that she's decided to do. Now, she said her agent put her in the right direction and that he found Alice doesn't live in it anymore for her. When I read it, I liked it a lot. I sent it to Warner Brothers and he agreed to do it. Then he asked who I wanted to direct it. I said that I didn't know, but I wanted somebody new and young and exciting. I called Francis Ford Coppola and asked him who was young and exciting. He said, "Go look at the movie called Mean Streets and see what you think." It hadn't been released yet, so I booked a screening to look at it, and I felt that it was exactly what Alice needed, because it was a wonderful script, and it was well written, but for my taste, it was a little slick, in a good way. It's kind of a Doris Day, Rock Hudson kind of way. I wanted something a bit more gritty. Now, she described her collaboration with Scorsese as this. And at the time, he was making his first Hollywood studio production. He was also an independent contractor for the visuals for Woodstock. "This was one of the best experiences I ever had." He agreed with her that the film should have a message. "It's a picture about emotions and feelings and relationships and people in chaos." We felt like charting all that and showing the differences and showing people making terrible mistakes, ruining their lives, and then realizing it and trying to push back when everything is crumbling without getting into soap opera. We opened ourselves up to a lot of experimentation. The part of Alice was offered to Shirley MacLaine, who turned it down. In a 2005 interview, she said she regretted that decision. Now, Scorsese casting director auditioned 300 boys for role of Tommy before he discovered Alfred Luter. "I met the kid in my hotel room and he was kind of quiet and shy," Scorsese said. But when we paired him with Burstyn and suggested she deviate from the script, he held his own. Usually we were improvising with the kids. They would either freeze and look down or go right back to the script. But this kid, you couldn't shut him up. Now, there's a rolling jokes within the movie with the relationship between Tommy and Alice. And there's a very famous scene that's been taken to heart throughout Canada when a child is pissing off the mother or father so much, stopping the car and making them walk. I've had that happen to one of my ex-wives. I've had it to happen to my family up North Shore, and Dad was always responsive to that. If you can't shut a kid up, just stop the car and push them out. You couldn't do that in 2024, but that was a thing back in the day. So if you saw somebody walking on the side of the road in the 1970s, maybe they weren't hitchhiking, but were asked to walk home. Now, the film was shot on location in around Tucson, but some scenes were either shot in Amedo, Arizona, and Phoenix. Mel's Diner still exists in Phoenix. The soundtrack is pretty good. It includes All the Way from Memphis by Mata Hoppel, Roll Away the Stone by Leon Russell, Daniel by Elton John, Jeepster by T-Rex, and I Will Always Love You by Dolly Parton. During a lounge act, Alice sings Where or When by Richard Rodgers and Lorenzo Hart, When Your Lover Has Gone by Einar Aaron Swan, Gone with the Wind by Ali Warble and Herb Magidson, and I Got a Crush on You by George and Ira Gershwin. In a film clip from Coney Island, Betty Grable is heard singing Cuddle Up a Little Closer, Lovey Mine by Otto A. Harbosh, and Carl Oshana. And in a film clip from Hello Frisco, Hello Alice Faye performs You'll Never Know by Harry Warren and Matt Gordon. Now, the reception to this was somewhat mixed, especially in major media. Not anything bad, but they said it was more comedy than drama. I saw the heavy drama. There was no comedy for me. It was just reality. Now, Vincent Cabney in the New York Times called it a fine, moving, frequently hilarious tale. And he said that Diane Ladd and Valerie Curtin's performance was quite strong. Now, Roger Ebert called the film one of the most perceptive, funny, occasionally painful portraits of an American woman I've seen. He wrote, the movie has been both attacked and defended on feminist grounds, but I think it belongs somewhere outside ideology, maybe the area of contemporary myth and romance. Ebert called the film his third best of the films of 75, even though it was released in December of 74. Now, if this was released in 75 rather than 74, it would have probably had a good chance to win Best Picture that year. No joke, it was that good. Now, Judith Chris praised Burstyn for making us care about her and all her incredibilities. Now, Pauline Kael in New Yorker wrote, Alice is thoroughly enjoyable, funny, observing, intelligent, even when you don't believe in what's going on. When the issues it raises get all fouled up. TV Guide gave it 3 out of 4 stars, but Arthur D. Murphy of Variety hated it, called the film a distended bore, adding that it takes a group of well-cast film players and largely wastes them on a smaller-than-life film, one of those little people dramas that makes one despise little people. Now, Gene Siskel was middling as well, giving it only 2 stars out of 4, writing the characters aren't real, the situations which are in place aren't real, and as a result, one cares little how the alleged relationships develop. Charles Champlain of the LA Times called Burstyn's performance highly charged and sympathetic, and Ladd wonderful. But he felt the film was seemingly uncertain whether to be a stylized and updated revision of romantic comedy modes of the late 30s, or a rough and tumble piece of social realism flavored with bitter comedy. Now, Molly Haskell, the Village Voice, felt the film was inconsistent in its attempt to make a woman's picture that will satisfy contemporary audiences' hunger for a heroine of some stature and significance. Now, according to Rotten Tomatoes, approval rating of 92% based on E3 reviews, with an average rating of 7.5 out of 10. I would give this only 3 stars out of 4, and I tell you why. Ellen Burstyn was a very, very strong actress at the time, but it came across as, to me, kind of a ripoff of Geraldine Page, kind of a ripoff of Joanne Woodward. You see Ellen Burstyn in certain scenes, she's playing them like Geraldine Page or Joanne Woodward. That's not negative. She's playing method actresses without doing the method, if that makes any sense. And for me, only Ellen Burstyn could play that part, but you have to convince the audience that Chris Christopherson could give up his whole existence for her, and I don't see the chemistry right away. You see it towards the end. But there's only real chemistry when he finds out that Tommy is getting whacked about by Chris's character, and that's where she realizes that if I'm going to fall in love with this guy, I got to control the situation. That's where the feminist aesthetic comes out. Now, the website, the consensus for Rotten Tomatoes said, Alice doesn't live here anymore, finds Scorsese wielding a somewhat gentler palette than usual, with generally absorbing results. On Metacritic, he got 78 out of 100, based on 11 critics. Now, Academy Awards, again, Burstyn won Best Actress. She didn't show up. Of course, Scorsese got her victory speech and gave that a very quick 2-minute presentation. At BAFTAs, it won Best Film for Martin Scorsese, who was also nominated for Best Directing. Best Actress Leading Role, Burstyn won. Best Actress in a Supporting Role, Leela Goldini was nominated, while Diane Lane won the award. Getchell won the Screenplay, and Alfred Luter was nominated for Most Promising Newcomer to Leading Film Roles. At Cannes, the Palme d'Or, Martin Scorsese. Golden Globes, Burstyn didn't win, and neither did Ladd, who were nominated in the drama category, not comedy. The Top 10 Films National Board Review, 10th place. New York Film Critics Awards, Best Actress Ellen Burstyn nominated. Best Supporting Actress, of course, Ladd. And Writers Guild of America, Best Drama Written, not Comedy, for directly for the screenplay by Getchell. Now, the film inspired the very popular sitcom Alice, which ran on CBS from 1976 to 85. The only member of the film cast who reprised his role was Vic Tayback as Mel. Dolly's Diner was moved to Phoenix. Luder portrayed Tommy in the pilot episode, but was replaced by Philip McKean for the series, the brother of Our Lady from Facts of Life. Ladd joined the show later in his run, but in a different role she played in the film. Linda Lavin, a great singer and performer in real life, took the role of Alice in the series after Burstyn said she wouldn't do television. The character of Flo was later spun off into yet another series called Flo and Polly Holiday. Now, Warner Home Video released the film on DVD all the way in 2004. It is an anamorphic widescreen with audio tracks in English and French and subtitles in English, French, and Spanish. Bonus features include commentary by Scorsese, Burstyn, and Christopherson, and second chances, a background look at the making of the film. Now, there is a book called Medialis, Life Behind the Counter, and Mel's Greasy Spoon, a guide to the feature film, the series, and more, a book chronicling the development of the film, and a spin-off television series. Now, the spin-off basically was okay. Linda Lavin's a tremendous actress, and Tabak is well known for Mel, but it was more comedy. But Vic Tabak's character in Alice is very low-key, and he's not your, cliche greasy spoon or runner, unlike the one in Alice. But how many stories can do in a greasy diner? I mean, but the two favorite scenes I have in this is when Jodie Foster shows up and the Tommy character becomes more involved. And when I say preteen, he's probably 11 or 12, and he's going through that, pre-puberty spurt. You get a kid in grade 7 that's 5'1". By the time they're at the end of grade 8, they're 5'10", 5'11". A lot of stuff happens. The kid. I remember I turned into a mutant. I was, when I started my growth spurt when I was 15, by the time I was 18, I gained 65 pounds of muscle and 7 inches in 2 years. And the people used to bully me 2 years before when he saw me, didn't even know it was the same person, so it can happen very quickly. But ladies and gentlemen, I find this, like I said, it's not really shown that much. It's shown on TCM every once in a while, but it's rarely shown on any streaming services or whatever. But it is part of, I think, if you look at Scorsese of that area, Mean Street, Deaths, and Taxi Driver, shows the progression that led into The Last Waltz and led into Raging Bull. I think Scorsese, since then, has not really, just like Cronenberg. Cronenberg had difficulty with his ex-wife to break up and stuff, which is talked about in these horror movies. We talked about The Brood or just recently. And I really think it's a very, like I said, a very, very underrated movie in my personal estimation. And I think people should look at that probably as, if you're looking at the top 10 feminist movies in the 1970s, there's quite a few. This is going to be top 5 because it's a man directing, but Burstyn is taking Scorsese, and he's basically saying to Martin, this is how a woman would act in a situation. I think Scorsese was a better director because of Ellen Burstyn. And we talk about Meryl Streep and all these big actresses over the years and Frances McDormand. Ellen Burstyn is more closer to Frances McDormand, but Ellen Burstyn has one thing. She's not really sexual in this movie. She's a modern woman, and she's not sexualized as a diner worker or waitress, even though the Flo character mentioned the fact she's got big tits. You don't see it. But why Christopherson is attracted to her, I think only a man can tell. There's some people out there who find Ellen Burstyn very, very attractive. I'm not one of them. She's an okay looking lady, but you have to put yourself in Chris Christopherson's part. You don't know that he's broke up with his wife when he sees her the first time, right? And you find out later on. So does she look like his ex-wife? Does she give something he can manipulate? Like I said, it's left kind of open before the denouement at the end. You'll see when you watch the movie. I don't want to give it away because the movie, not say it's not a happy ending. It's an ending, which is good. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, we appreciate your dropping by. I would figure 1974, if it's not one of the greatest movie years of all time, it's up there, at least top 5 with 69, and many 1939 as well, 67. So it's a tremendous year for movies. And Ellen Burstyn, you should hear in the talk show circuit how she talk about what it's like to be a working actress. You think Harvey Weinstein is situation, but there's some true stories out there. So again, if you haven't seen it before, get a pot of tea. Bring your girlfriend in if you're in your. This is a movie for people over the age of 40. By the way, it's not a teenager movie. This is not like a teen drive-in movie. This is a thinking man's movie, which led to breaking away and family and before that the paper chase. This is like what he called the 1970s trend of the thinking person's movie. All the President's Men, China Syndrome. You'll know what I talk about. But the cinematography of this is quite fascinating, and there's very very little product placement except for the Billy Green Bush character. You would think there'd be more, but anyway, thanks for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, or share. And like we say to the North Shore, if you're going to a drive-in, pack a lunch because you got a triple feature. Dust to dawn, as we say. Have a good one. Bye.